Greetings from the dark side, says Darth Vader, and welcome to my review of Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. Surprises ahead and spoiler alert! Not be any clearer I could, says Yoda. So right from the start of this episode, I was hooked because Stephen Root, an acclaimed comic actor, is portraying a new character. So a little bit about Stephen Root. I loved his character in Barry, which is a series by Bill Hader. And talking about Bill Hader, that guy I feel is kind of like the, successor to Jim Carrey in Hollywood. And, being comic and being dark, that series is a nice watch. So I would highly recommend that. So in my rating scale of must watch, can watch and maybe watch, it's going to be a must watch for Barry, just like it is for Breaking Bad. But we'll talk about that later in this episode. I really liked one of the neologisms dropped by Boba Fett in one of the dialogues. He says, talking dank. Dank is originally Scandinavian and it means unpleasantly moist. Now there aren't many things that can be referred to as unpleasantly moist. So to each their own, I guess, including those who take pleasure in moistness. Moisture is an important part of Tatooine because the vapor farmers are the ones who make water and sell it to the people of Mos Espa and other towns on Tatooine. Tatooine, for those of you who don't know Star Wars, is the home planet for the Skywalker clan. Now see, that water vapor farming is kind of very essential to life in real life as well. I mean, if you want realism in kinema, that's kinema because it comes from the Greek for kinetic, moving, and images, right? So moving images, kinema. But anyway, you don't need to watch Star Wars or Marvel or DC or any of that fantasy stuff. Maybe DC is not so much fantasy as, dark satire. But I'll just say this, that, if you're not interested in fantasy and if you don't appreciate science fiction and, a sort of absurdism, then you probably won't like Star Wars. You probably should not pretend to have read Lord of the Rings or The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or even Franz Kafka, because that guy was the epitome of absurdism. If you read Castle and Trial, it's almost like you are in Kay's shoes and you're finding it difficult to find a meaning to life, And of course, as every hitchhiker knows, the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. A few seconds in chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett also show the circle of life, A rodent is snatched up by a flighted creature, which is itself, shot at and grabbed by a reptilian creature. And it's just, so marvelous to see that Star Wars is becoming an expanding universe. And this Star Wars universe and this Marvel Kinematic universe, they are all escapes from reality, right? So because we like to kind of get away from it all for a while and lose ourselves, as Eminem put it, we suspend our disbelief so that we get drawn into such universes that are excellent creations of imagination. And that's where the inspiration to innovate in real life comes from, because when people use their imagination and try and think what could be the future, like we should be a spacefaring species, is what I envision us as. So these are the kind of things that eventually lead to very nice things that lead to those imaginative things becoming a part of reality.